Alright, in this lecture we will talk about difference between printing something to the console over here versus returning something as an output from the function. Because a lot of students get very confused at this stage and they think that why don't I just print off these results instead of returning them from function. So what's the actual difference between return and print statement? Now in this lecture I want to address this. At the moment we have got these four functions and we call it, and we pass over some inputs. So once we get this output from these functions that we are using, we are printing out this answer to the console over here. Now in the current state of calculator, it's hard to see the difference between print and return statement. But here's the question. What if I wanted to take the output that comes from the calling these functions over here, and instead of just storing it inside variable and then printing out, what if we want to pass it as an input to another function? So let's say at this point we have decided that we are going to ask to pick another operation from the user. So once we get the answer, we are going to use that answer in another operation over here. Now to do so, after this print statement, I'm just going to ask for new operation. So to ask for new operation, I'm going to name it new operation variable is equal to. So as you can see, we were asking the operations like this. So I'm just going to copy this part of code and pass it over here. We are using input function. So I'm just going to change the operation like this, pick another operation from this list. Now after picking another operation from this list, we are going to ask for the third number. So one more time, I'm just going to copy this code from here, which is for the second number. Then I'm going to change it to ask for third number. So the name of variable will be n3. And what is the third number? Because we are going to use third number to do operation with the value that we are getting from this output over here. So this is the answer. Based on the operation we are getting the answer, and based on this answer we are going to calculate another operation with the third number that we are going to provide. Now we see that if we choose another operation, we need to repeat these steps over here, in which based on the operation we are calling different functions that we have declared over here. Now we have learned that to get rid of repetitive code, we can create this part of code as a function. So I'll create a new function over here and put all these if statements inside the function. So I'm just going to name the function name calculate. So it's going to be def calculate. So as a parameter, it's going to take three parameters, n1, n2, and operation. Then after declaring it, I'm just going to put colon over here. Then I'm going to select this part of code from here and click tab to put these if elif conditions inside this function over here with indentation level. Now after calculating everything over here, I'm just going to return answer from this function. Now after returning it, we need to call this function to print out result to the console like this. So here, after declaring it, I'm just going to create a new variable which will be output is equal to calculate. So it's going to be calculated based on n1, n2, and operation that we are getting from console over here. Then I'm just going to change this answer to output because it's going to be calculated based on this function that we have declared over here, and it's going to save the output to this output variable, and we are going to print out this output to the console. Now after doing so, and finally we are going to get the calculation function based on this new operation then and the number that we have picked over here, and we are going to calculate new answer based on this number that we get from the console and based on the output that we get from the previous calculation. So here I'm just going to create a new variable which will be new answer. It's going to be called calculate. So instead of answer we can put output over here because here we have created as an output, so it's going to be new output. So as a first parameter I'm going to select the output that we have calculated before. So it's going to be the first parameter, and the second parameter will be the n3 which we have picked as a third number. Then operation will be new operation that we have picked over here. So based on this, we are going to calculate our new output over here. So basically here, instead of writing output like this, I can just copy this code from here and paste it instead of output over here inside this calculate function. So basically we are calling this calculate function twice over here. So the first number will be the output that comes from the first calculation, and the second output will be from the outside calculation function. So as a second parameter, we have taken the third number that we are getting from the user. Then after calculating this, I'm just going to print out one more time to the console something like this. So I'm just going to copy paste it here, and instead of operation, I'm going to put new operation. So I'm just going to copy and paste it over here, and instead of output, I'm just going to put new output over here, and n1 also should be the output that we get from the previous call of this function. Now with this, we have successfully implemented the second function in which we are picking another operation to calculate it. Now if we run our function, so first it's going to ask what is the first number. So for simplicity, I'm just going to put 2 and hit enter. Then the second number, so let's put 4, then hit enter. So I'm just going to select plus sign. So if I put plus sign, it's going to return 6 because 2 plus 4 is 6. Then we need to select another operation. So here I'm just going to select multiplication operation. So if I select multiplication operation and hit enter, it's going to ask for third number. So if I select 3, in this case, the answer must be 18 because 6 multiply 3 has to be 18. But here you can see that the output shows 6 multiplied with 4 because here we have forgotten to put n3, not n2. So the output has to be like this. So if I rerun it with the same parameter, 2, 4, and select plus sign, then as another operation I'll select multiplication, then 3. In this case you will see that the output shows correct. So 6 multiplies 3 is 18 over here. So in this case I have successfully calculated another operation over here because I have an output from my calculation function over here. This is because of this return keyword that we have put over here. We are able to get result from this calculate function, and after getting this result from this calculate function, we are able to take the result from the calculate function and plug it right back to another calculate function over here. And as I mentioned, I'm able to do so because I'm using return statement over here, and that's why I have outputs from my functions over here. So this will not be possible if I'm using a print statement instead of return statement. So if I put print statement over here and in these functions over here, in this case we are not able to get results from the functions over here. It's just going to print out the result to the console. We will not able to get result and use it in another function call over here, and we cannot save the output in any variable over here. Now with this, we have come to the end of this lecture. So in this lecture I have shown you practically what's the difference between return and print statement over here. So hopefully everything is clear over here by using this practical example. So see you in the next lecture.